Close the doors of your mind from all carnal will, all carnal thought, all emotions, all desires and fears. For this is the day that Yahuwah has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in our warning, in our thoughts and our mind, knowing that through his Debar, his wisdom and his Kukma and knowledge and understanding, he gives us life. He gives us life on the inside of our thoughts and our minds and our consciousness and our thoughts and our movement patterns of our hands and our feet and the things we say and the things we do in this world, the good deeds, that we may walk in newness of life in the mercy and compassion of the one who made all things, Yahuwah, who sits in the highest Shamayim, in the seventh Shamayim, and governs all thrones, principalities, powers, magistrates, rulers, kings, spirits, evil spirits, demons, all beings, who governs all things, who allows us to live and to breathe his air, his ruach. He's given to us, because if he removed all breath from the earth, no flesh would survive. But yet he gives us life and he gives us understanding today that we may give thanks to him and give Turah to him for his love and his compassion on us on earth. For we are waging a warfare, and in this warfare, in our members, in our lives, in our mind, knowing that the knowledge and the Kukma and wisdom of Yahushua Mashiach, of the word, of the Debar, the word of freedom, the word of freedom to be safe, to be covered in innocence in a world that's full of darkness and evil. So we acknowledge him, we acknowledge Yahuwah, we acknowledge his son Yahusha, we acknowledge them today. For even as the beginning, as the creation of the world, when Yahuwah bara created all things and formed and shaped the worlds, the universe, the seven Shamayims, the Rakyim, even down to the lowest earth. He gave life to every creature, the whales, he gave life to the animals, the monkeys, the rhinoceros, the elephants, and every creature on the planet. Well, he's given us life. He's given us breath. He's given us breath, not to consume his creation, but to take care of his creation. He's given us every herb-yielding seed for fruit for food, and he's given it to the animals also, that we may live in harmony and in love and compassion in a world that's full of darkness. So, as we come to an alignment, an agreement with the one who made all things, that he may walk and dwell inside of us, that his compassion and his mercy and his character may be made manifest in our thoughts and our mind, and that his love may reign in our inner being. So as we move forward in compassion, in humility, in meekness, in love for everyone, knowing that we are all worthy of punishment. But yet through his son Yahusha and those who believe, and all the goddesses and gods who receive the light, the Or, give you power to become the children of light, to be able to change, For know ye not that the Kodashim going to judge the world? They're going to judge the world. But first they're going to judge themselves. But first you got to cast the log of the idol, the log out your eye, and you see clearly, and you can take the speck out of your brother's eye or your sister's eye. So as we move forward, we will move forward with understanding and fear. So this is ODE Shaloma, ODE 8. It says, open your hearts to the exaltation of Yahuwah, and let your love, Ahab, abound from the hearts to your lips. So when we start looking at our minds, our lay, knowing that when the word comes into our minds and our thoughts, when we open the door, because we closed it, so all carnal will, all carnal thought, our emotions, desires, and fears, Now we're able to open to the word of Yahuwah, to the bar. And let your love abound from your hearts to your lips, in order to bring forth fruits to a Kadush life, and to speak with watchfulness in his light. So when we start looking at watching unto prayer, looking at the fruits that we want to bear in the earth, the love thy neighbors, you love yourself, do unto others you have them do unto you, the manifestation of Mashiach in the earth, we look at ourselves producing that Kadush life, and to speak with watchfulness in his light, right? Knowing that we're watching, looking for him. Right? Verse 3 says, stand and be established, you who were once brought low. Right? Look at being humble, look at being brought to humility, look at being brought to a low state. It's like a seed being planted in the soil, but yet now springing up, and now you're sticking your head out of the soil, knowing that being brought low, but now you're being established, and you must walk. Right? Verse 4 says, you who are in silence speak, for your mouth has been opened. Right? You who were despised, from henceforth be raised, for your righteousness has been raised. Right? So when we start looking at Yahushua Mashiach, he was despised and rejected of men. He was despised and rejected of men. From henceforth, he said, be raised. He said, if the Son of Man be lifted up, he'll draw all men unto me. For his righteousness was raised, and it has been raised. And if Mashiach is raised, we are joyful. But if he's not raised, then we are all men most miserable. Right? Verse 6 says, for the right hand of Yahuwah is with you, and he will be your helper. So we look at Yahuwah's right hand. We look at it as this force, as he's moving in and setting things in order. His mighty right hand, right? But he says, for the right hand of Yahuwah is with you. You have to believe that. And he will be your helper. Right? Verse 7 says, and shalom was prepared for you before what may be your war. Right? So we look at shalom, we look at peace, we look at the shalom, peace that passes all understanding. It was prepared for you before what may be your war today. Right? I don't know how your life is today, but eventually, you're gonna have to fight for keep your freedom. Right? So Marshally 8 through 11 says, all the words of my mouth are righteous, and there's nothing twisted or crooked in them. When Yahuwah created the worlds, the universe, there's nothing twisted or crooked in them. They are all straight to him who understands, and right to those who find knowledge. It says, take my instructions instead of silver, and knowledge rather than gold. Right? So we look at words, sound, vibrational frequency, the bar, right? Instructions rather than silver and gold, money, possessions, unjust gain. Right? We look at these things as taking his instructions instead of that. For wisdom is better than jewels. Any type of jewel, any type of treasure one may increase and get in this carnal world, Kukma is better than that. And all that you may desire cannot compare with her. Right? So when we look at anything that can be desired in this world, we have to look at wisdom and Kukma, that it made everything, the gold, the silver, that made everything. Right? You have to look at that as more valuable. So the word for crooked is ikesh or akish, right? Which means distorted, false, crooked, forward, or perverse. We always start here. Why? Because knowing all the words of Yahuwah's mouth, there's nothing distorted, false, crooked, or forward, or perverse. So the word for straight is nakuak. It means straightforward, equitable, correct, integrity, uprightness. Also means, it can mean innocence. Innocent until proven guilty. When you're proven guilty, you have the ability to change. Right? So when we look at changing, right, all the words of Yahuwah, they are all straight, equitable, correct, integrity, and innocence to him who understands. And right to those who find knowledge. You got to seek and you have to find it. Right? You have to seek and you have to seek it out with every fiber of your being. Shalom said in Book of Qahalath, Ecclesiastes, he said, whatsoever your hand findeth to do it with all your might. Right? So if you're going to do it with all your might. Right? Verse Tahalim, Psalms 111:10 says, for the fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of wisdom, and all those who practice it have a good understanding. His praise endureth forever. So the fear, the yirah, right, of Yahuwah is the rashid. It's the beginning of wisdom. And those who practice it have a good understanding. You have a good understanding if you practice fearing him. Yirah, right, standing in awe and honor of your father and mother in the highest shamayim. It says the beginning of wisdom, right? So once you start fearing, you have now begun to get kukma. And if you continue to practice it, you have a good understanding, right? Very good. And it'll be straightforward, equitable, correct, and integrity, and uprightness, and innocence. His praise endureth forever, right? Just like his word. His shamayim will pass away, and the earth will pass away. My word, his debar, his debar, that created the heavens and the earth, will never pass away. So the wisdom of Solomon, Kukma Shli Shaloma 3:9-13. It said, they that put their trust in him shall understand the truth. So you start looking at understanding the amet, or the amat, the truth. You have to put your trust in Yahuwah. You have to take off the restraints and stop holding him back. Right? And such as be faithful in love shall abide with him. So you start being faithful in love with the one who made all things. He said that's the ones who will abide with him. For Khan, or grace and mercy, is to his Kadashim, his saints. And he hath care for his elect. So when you start trusting in your mother and your father, the one who built the Shamayims and the earths, and guess what? You have now come into the protection of him. And he has care for you. He has care for his elect. Verse 10 says, but the unrighteous shall be punished according to their own imaginations. Why? You're creating your own, God. Why? Because you have your own imaginations, your own thoughts, right? You have another mother and father. It says, which have neglected the righteous and forsaken Yahuwah, right? So when you neglect righteousness and you forsake the one who made all things, Yahuwah, then you will find yourself in a situation to where you will be punished. You will be punished according to your thoughts and your imaginations. Verse 11 says, for those who despise wisdom, kukma, wisdom and nurture, he is miserable. For whoso, right, despise wisdom and nurture, doesn't matter, he is miserable. And their hope is vain. Vanity. Your hope is vanity, which means you forsaking wisdom and nurture, which means you put that below money and unjust gain and things in the world. So now everything you do is vanity. It's all vain. And your labor is unfruitful. Anything you labor for after that, if you despise wisdom and nurture and you still go out and you prospering, understanding, it's all vain, vanity, and it's unfruitful. And their works, everything you do is unprofitable. It has no value to it whatsoever. Right? And then what happens after that? Their wives are foolish and their children wicked. Why? Because then you'll find yourself with a household and all they care about is your vanity, your unfruitful labors, and your unprofitable works that you go out and do every single day. Right? And their offspring is cursed. Right? So you start looking at generational curses, right? Wisdom and nurture is what breaks that, right? Being nurtured with the word, being nurtured in care, but also being the wisdom and knowledge and understanding allows one to make better decisions in their life, and they're able to give out intellect. Right. So Sirach chapter 1. Verse 2-21 says, who can number the sand of the sea? The scientists try to do it every single year. and the drops of the rain in the days of eternity. Who can do that? Who can number it, calculate it? They say it's like 6 trillion miles to travel across 1 light year, right? So you calculate all these things, right? All the drops of rain. How many drops of rain fell today on the earth? Can you calculate that? No. Can you calculate all the the sand on the sea at the Maldives, or on the shores of Belize, or in the south of Spain, on the Mediterranean? No, you can't. It says, verse 3 says, who can find out the heights of the Shamayim and the breadth of the earth and the deep and Kukma? Who can do it? The height of the Shamayims, the breadth of the earth, the measurements, and the deep. It says, wisdom have been created before all things, and understanding of prudence from everlasting, before anything you've ever seen on earth. Kukma was here. It says, the word of Yahuwah Most High is the foundation of wisdom. Kukma. And her ways are everlasting commandments. Right? To whom hath the root of wisdom been revealed? Or who have known her wise counsel? Who has known it? Unto whom hath the knowledge of Kukma been made manifest? And who hath understood her great experience? There is one wise and greatly to be feared, Yahuwah sitting upon his throne. That's a wise thing. The fear of Yahuwah is the beginning. Yahuwah sitting on his thrones, the one who controls the world, the universe. He controls all kings, rulers, magistrates, seats of kings and rulers on the planet. He governs all things. He created, guess what it says? He created her and saw her and numbered her and poured her out upon all his works. It says she is with all flesh according to his gifts. And he hath given her to to them that love him. So you start thinking about abiding in Yahuwah in love, and he'll give you these things. He said, any man lacks, let him ask. He gives it to all. Right. Verse 11 says, the fear of Yahuwah is honor and glory, kabod, and gladness, and a crown of rejoicing. That's the fear of Yahuwah. The fear of Yahuwah maketh a merry heart and giveth joy and gladness and long life. Whoso feareth Yahuwah, it shall go well with him at the last, and he shall find favor in the days of his death. Right? So you're talking about gladness, joy, merry heart, and you'll have all these things until your last, until the day you leave here. So the fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of wisdom. It is the beginning, and it was created with the faithful in the womb. Right? When you start looking at humble yourself as a child, it says, what? Trust in Yahuwah, lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, acknowledge his name, and he will direct your path. It'll be healing to your umbilical cord, your shore. Faithful from the womb. Verse 15 says, she hath built an everlasting foundation with men, and she shall continue with their seed. The fear of Yahuwah is fullness of Kukma and wisdom, and filleth men with her fruits. Right? She filleth all their houses with things desirable and garners with her increase. The fear of Yahuwah is a crown of wisdom. Right? So when you start thinking about being allied with wisdom, that's immortality. Immortal. It says, making shalom and perfect health to flourish. Wisdom, Kukma, does that. Perfect health is something that people seek after in the world. They seek after the perfect health. You know, with the stick with the wings on it. They seek after perfect health. But he say, the fear of Yahuwah is the crown of wisdom. That's the beginning of perfect health. It says, but which are the gifts of Yahuwah? And it says, both which are the gifts of Yahuwah, and it enlarges their rejoicing that love him. It says, wisdom raineth down skill and knowledge of understanding, standing and exalteth them to honor that hold her fast. So when you start getting this wisdom and Kukma knowledge, understanding, you hold it tight to you, just understand. He said, humble yourself under the mighty hand of Yahuwah. Fear him, right? And he will exalt you with wisdom and understanding. Verse 20 says, the root of wisdom is the fear of Yahuwah, and the branches thereof are long life. Right? We start looking at bearing fruit and the branches that are connected. Right? The fear of Yahuwah driveth away sins, and where it is present, it turneth away wrath. Right? So when we start looking at the fear of Yahuwah, it drives away behaviors. It does. It drives away behavior because you're in his house. So therefore, you're in his house. You're afraid to do sins. Right? It says, and where it is present, it turneth away wrath. Right? The fear of Yahuwah. It turns it away. Right? So the wisdom of Solomon, Tashy'y Chudash 6:12 through 25. It says, wisdom is glorious and never fadeth away. It never goes away. Yea, she is easily seen of them that love her, and found of such as seek her. Right? You're seeking it out, you'll find it. She preventeth them that desire her, in making herself known unto them. Right? It's not some easy get. Right? Verse 14, whoso seeketh her early shall find no great travail, for he shall find her sitting at his door. So you remember we talk about, you'll find Kukma sitting at the tent, in the door of the tent, ready to serve. Right? You start looking at sitting, the 10 virgins, 5 were wise, 5 were foolish, right? And they were sitting at the door waiting for him to open. Right? Verse 15 says, to think therefore upon her is a perfection of wisdom, and whoso watches for her shall quickly be without care. Right? For she goeth about seeking such as are worthy of her, showeth herself favorably unto them in the ways, and meeteth them in every thought. In every thought. Because remember, our thoughts are very important in how we think. It can bring health to you, but it also can bring death to you. Right? So Wisdom of Solomon, Tashy'y Chudash 7:6 through 14 says, for all men have one entrance into life, and the light going out. You came in, like you say, naked I came in the world, naked I'm going to leave, right? It says, wherefore I prayed, and understanding was given to me. I called upon Al Yahuwah, and the Ruach of Kukma came to me. I prefer her before scepters and thrones. That's before kings. That's before any ruler's seat on the planet. And esteemed riches. That's more than Warren Buffett or any other rich person we don't even know, or the Dow families, or any other beings on the planet, or corporation. He said, man, I esteem riches, it says, and esteem riches, nothing is in comparison to her. Neither I compare her unto precious stones, because all gold in respect to her is a little sand, and silver shall be counted as clay before her. I loved her above health and beauty, because he created it, and chose to have her instead of light ore. Why? Instead of light ore. For the light, the ore that cometh from her, never goeth out. So you have two lights. So you have the sun, the Shemesh, to rise out of the sixth portal, and you have this ore, this light that created all things before the Shemesh was created on the 4th day of creation, or Raby'ay. Right? It says all good things came to me with her, and innumerable riches in her hands. Wealthy, isn't it? It says, and I rejoiced in them all. What else are you gonna do? You got the fear of Yahuwah. That's gladness and joy, because wisdom goeth before them, and I knew not that she was the mother of them. She created all of these things. Kukma, Yahuwah's wisdom created these things. I learn diligently and do communicate her liberally. I do not hide her riches. For she is a treasure unto men, and never faileth, which they that use become the friends of Yahuwah all, being commended for the gifts that come from learning. Learning. They come from learning. So, moving forward, the Aramaic Targums, Palestinian, Bereshit 6 and 5. And Elohim saw that the wickedness of man was great on the earth, and all imagery and thought of his heart, his mind, his love was evil every day. He says in the book of Psalms, it says Yahuwah is angry with the wicked every day. And you wonder why. And that was some 2,000-3,000 years later. He's still the same person. It says, and it repented Yahuwah in his word that he had made man upon the earth, and he passed judgment upon them by his word. Right? It's not going to be by any other way. It's going to be by the bar. And there was repentance before Yahuwah in his word that he had made man upon the earth. And he said and judged in his mind, and Yahuwah saw that I will abolish, and Yahuwah said, I will abolish by my word Adam, or human beings whom I have created, upon the face of the earth, from the cattle to the reptiles to the fowls of the Shamayim, because I have repented in my word that I have made them. But Nuach found favor before Yahuwah. So you see Yahuwah by his word, even as it is, as we say in 2022 AD, he's still the same. So Bereshit 6 and 5 ESV says, Yahuwah saw that the wickedness of Adam or human beings was great in the earth, and every intention of the thoughts of his mind, his heart, was evil continually. And Yahuwah regretted that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him to his heart. So Yahuwah said, I will blot out man whom I have created from the face of the land, man, animals, creeping things, and birds of the heavens. For I am sorry that I have made them. But Nuach found favor before Yahuwah, the eyes of Yahuwah. Right? So every imagination of man's heart is laid, belah. Because, when they created it, they add all these extra words, but it's just one word. Laid. It says inner man, mind, heart, understanding, inner parts, mist, heart of man, soul of heart man, mind. Knowledge is wicked, evil. Every imagination of man's mind, reflection, memory, inclination, conscience, heart, moral character, seat of appetite, seat of emotions and passions, seat of courage, appetites, eating flesh, eating his creation, his animals. He said they appetites, everything, killing animals for profit, not for sins no more. They killing animals for profit. Right? You have some people still doing it for sins. But we know they're doing it more for profit today, right? Unjust gain, right? So the word for thought is makashaba, right? Right? Makashaba. And then what? Thought, purpose, device, plan, purpose, invention. Every knowledge of thought, purpose, plan, conscience, memory, device, everything in purpose and understanding and knowledge. It also means invention, plan, plot, good advice, cunning. Everything was evil. Every imagination invented things, purpose. It was evil. This was 6,000 years ago. So the word for evil is Ra. That's present world today. Evil is Ra, bad, evil, disagreeable, malignant, bad, unpleasant. Unpleasant is evil. Unhappiness, misery. We talk about being joyful, fear of Yahuwah. He said that's the fear of Yahuwah. Misery. This not misery. Displeasing, hurtful, unkind. That's not the fear of Yahuwah. Worse, evil. Right? Evil thoughts, deeds, actions. That's not the fear of Yahuwah. Misery, injury, calamity. Right? All these things. That's every imagination of man's thoughts and minds is evil continually. Right? You have calamity, displeased, misery, noisome. Even the shepherds are evil. Everything evil. And you start looking at these things on a level that needs to be looked at, because when you look at this world today, the current climate of the world is not conducive for growth. You have to literally create your own environment in order for you to grow. Look at the world. Right? The world is not conducive to any type of growth in righteousness. You have to literally create your environment to where you can. And then when you go out into the world, just understand that you're going out in a toxic world. right? Every imagination and thought, misery, thought, it's easy. You can press a button, hit a button, hit send. Don't press send. You can hit send. Don't press send. And your whole life will unravel before you. Don't press send. Right? So, as we move forward, Testament of Dan. So you want to press Testament of Don, right? If you want to pronounce it right, Don is H135, 12 Patriarchs, chapter 1, right? Testament of Dan. It says, besides all these, there is an eighth spirit of sleep, with which is brought about the trance of nature and of death. Right? So you look at these spirits of sleep, right? Understanding what the spirits of sleep are, right? This is in the Testament of Don, right? Verse 23, it says, with these spirits are mingled the spirits of error. Right? When we start looking at erring, we start looking at blindness of mind, we start looking at darkness, we start looking at the Bereshit. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep. Why? Because all the gods and the goddesses and the people that's supposed to judge properly, are in darkness. Let's see why. Right, when we start looking at it. It says, first, the spirit of fornication. Or they would some say promiscuity. Is seated in the nature, in the senses. Right? So if you know what fornication is, that is sexual desire, sexual intercourse outside of marriage. Right? We start looking at fornication. It harbingers and it goes with the spirit of sleep. Now these are all demons. Right? When we start looking at spirits, right, we're not talking about the spirit of Yahuwah, the Ruach of Yahuwah, Marakah. There's only one Ruach. Now we're talking about spirits. Right? We're talking about things that Yahuwah doesn't like. The second is the spirit of insatiableness in the belly. Right? We start thinking about giving birth to spirits. Once you get through fornication, right, then you have what? You get actually impregnated with a spirit of insatiableness in your belly, right? Or the man or woman, right? Insatiableness means impossible to satiate or satisfy, or an insatiable appetite or an insatiable hunger. So when we think about people who are hungry for sex, hungry for appetites for fornication, hungry for appetites for adultery, it's because of the actual intercourse that one had, and now that being on the inside has to be satisfied. And the only way it can be satisfied is through the act. Right? So, and it says, verse 26 says, the third is the spirit of fighting in the liver and the gall. So when you start looking at fornication, you start looking at insatiableness in the belly, you'll always see fighting. You'll always see these behaviors happening inside of the mind and in the body. Why? Because it comes with it. They work together. The third is spirit. These are all the spirits of sleep and the spirits of error, right? And you start looking at in the liver and the gall. So when we look at our liver and our gall, right, we have liver in our body. You ever seen somebody who can't stop fighting, always fighting somebody, got strife, and they always have liver problems, and they're in the hospital, right? They always in the hospital, they got liver problems because that demon is inside his liver. And his gall. You think about, he said, present your bodies a living sacrifice. And when we did our sacrifices, what did we have to do? We had to remove the liver. We had to remove the certain body parts on the inside of the sacrifice. Right? Because these are all offerings. So you look at your liver and your gall, and you have strife and fighting on the inside of you. And in your liver and your gall, understanding that you are what? It's not pleasing. Right? So that's the spirit of fighting. Right? Liver and the gall. And the fourth is the spirit of, it says, obsequiousness or chicanery, and it says that through officiousness, attention, one may be fair in seeming, right? So obsequiousness, it means obedient or attentive to excessive or servile degree, right? Servile degree of what? Chicanery, to use trickery to achieve a political, financial, or legal purpose. Right, so when we start looking at these aspects, right? Excessive what? Right? It's excessive, servile degree. To do what? For trickery to achieve political, financial, legal purpose. You look at these things as unjust gain or political agendas. Right? financial agendas. Right? These all come with the spirit of error and sleep. So the fifth is the spirit of pride, that one may be boastful and arrogant or haughty. Right? Pride. What does that mean? Pride. It means what? Pride comes just before a fall. Right? You're boastful of what one has, or what one wears, or what one does. Right? Arrogant. Right? Conceited. Haughty. Right? The sixth is the spirit of lying, because that's what this is. Kazab. Shakir. Right? We get to, you got five demons on the inside, then we start lying. 5 spirits, right? Then you start lying. It says, in perdition and jealousy, to practice deceits and concealments. Right? When we talk about concealing, we talked about this many times. Concealing hatred. Right? Practicing deceits from kindred and friends. Right? Because remember what Cain did? He concealed his hatred from his mother, father, and his brother and sister, as we read before. Concealing it. Even as Saul concealed his hatred for David, Dawood. Right? You concealing it. Jealousy. Practice deceits. Go to the Philistines and kill and get me 4 skins of Philistines, hoping that he died. That's deceit. That's envy. Concealment, right? It says the 7th is the spirit of injustice, right? That, because we know that's judgment. Right? Injustice, right? You ain't giving proper judgment, but with which are thefts and acts of rapacity, all right? They call rapacity, that a man may fulfill the desires of his heart. For injustice worketh together with the other spirits by taking of gifts. So you start looking at all these. You start seeing people do these things. Just understand. You say you're not only doing one thing. You're doing like multiple things. Boastful, arrogant, lying, deceit, jealous, right? Chicanery, fornication, insatiableness in the belly. All these things are operating all that together. They're working together. And then you have spirit of error and sleep at the same time. You have legions of demons on the inside of you. Right? So rapacity is excessive greed, aggressive greed. How much aggressive greed do we have today in this world? And they all work together. They all work together. Amazingly, Don was trying to tell you that some years ago. All right, so when we start looking at these aspects of these spirits and these demons and the spirit of error, spirit of sleep, we start walking and we start looking the way it is, right? Continuing on, verse 31, it says, and with all these, the spirit of sleep is joined, which is that of error and fantasy. When you start looking at sleeping, Yahusha said what? He said, watching the prayer. He said, can you not pray for 1 hour? He said, pray that you enter not into temptation. The ruach is willing, but the flesh is weak. Man, he said the spirit of sleep is joined, which is of that of error and fantasy. It says, and guess what it does? Verse 32 says, and so perish every young man, darkening his mind without form and void, and darkness is on the face of the deep. Darkening your thoughts. It can be man, it says young man, but it can be woman too. Right? When they write these books, they always put, these things, and they make it like a man-hating book. Right? But when we start looking at the man, we look at the male as a leader, right? But then we start looking at the aspect of how it's written. But he said, so perish every young man, darkening his mind from the truth. Darkening it. I mean, bringing it back to how it was when you was out form of void and you're in darkness. Not understanding the truth, which means you don't trust Yahuwah no more. If you're darkened from the truth, you don't trust Yahuwah no more, and you don't understand it. And not understanding the Torah of Yahuwah, nor obeying the admonition of his fathers. Why? Because we start looking at whoso despises wisdom and nurture, what? It says, and as befell me also in my youth. So it means his father and mother didn't despise wisdom and nurture, so that means they didn't forsake Yahuwah, right? So that means the son didn't do it. The son despised my son, do not forget the commandment of your father and the teaching of your mother. And that's what he did. But when we start looking at the spirit of sleep, we start to look at it as an enjoining of other spirits, and these spirits work together. That's why when you look at people who do these things, well, you find them easily yoked up or easily making agreements with people who do the same thing, because they all work together. Yeshayahu 29:9 says, astonish yourselves and be astonished, blind yourselves and be blind. Be drunk, but not with wine. Stagger, but not with strong drink. For Yahuwah has poured out upon you the ruach of deep sleep, and has covered your eyes. The Nabi'im, the prophets, have uncovered your heads, and the seers, and the vision of all this has become to you like the words of a book that is sealed. When men give it to one who can read, saying, read this, he says, I cannot, for it is sealed. And when they give the book to the one who cannot read, saying, read this, he said, I cannot read. And Yahuwah said, because this people draw near with their mouth and honor me with their lips, while their minds and their hearts are far from me. Every imagination and thought is evil continually. It says, and they fear, and the fear of me is a commandment taught by men. Right? The fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of wisdom. Right? In Kukma. All that trust in Yahuwah will understand the truth. But he said, you'll darken your mind and your understanding be darkened. And you won't understand the Torah. Right? And it says, and honor me with their lips, and their hearts are far from me. And their fear is taught of me is a commandment taught by men. Therefore, behold, I will again do wonderful things with this people, and wonder upon wonder. It says, and Kukma wisdom, and the wisdom of the wise, or the Kukma of Ish, or men, shall perish, and the discernment of their discerning Ish shall be hidden. And are you who hide deep from Yahuwah your counsel, whose deeds are in the dark, and who say, who sees us? Who knows us? Right? When you start doing your deeds in the dark, you say, who knows or who sees us? That's how the world is today. You start looking at the earth is without form and void, and darkness is over the face of the deep. That's how the world is today. It says, you turn things upside down. Shall the potter be regarded as the clay? That the thing made should say to its maker, he did not make me. Or the thing formed say to him, who formed it? He has no understanding. Right? So when we start looking at who made you, and we start looking at the precepts of, I say the commandments, the fear of Yahuwah is taught by the commandments taught by men. So what are the men doing? What are the Ish or the people teaching doing? He's saying, oh, so you want them to fear you, right? You want them to fear you, right? Oh, so you're gonna flip this thing around, right? So when we start looking at the world today, the kings, rulers, magistrates, courts, the UN, the United Nations, the world leaders, the governments, the demons, the spirits, Satan, Mastama, all these other beings, idols, gods, goddess, right? They want you to fear them and not fear Yahuwah. He says, shall the potter be regarded as the clay? So now Yahuwah so I'm the potter, but now you making me the clay. And y'all making me into whatever you want to make me into. How you think about that? Think about that. That's something to think about. Y'all trying to make me into something. Now, I'm the potter, you the clay, but yet people now you done lower me down. Now you're trying to make Yahuwah into whatever you want to make him into. So keep that in mind as we move forward. So this is the testament of Gad, but the real pronunciation is God. God. Notice how to say God. G-O-D. God. The testament of God. That's H1410. 1:0, I'm sorry. Chapter 1, 12 patriarchs. The testament of God. Right? Like Yahuwah say, so I'm the clay and you the potter now. So I'm God. So you gonna turn me into something less? But anyway. Verse 23, for as love would quicken even the dead, and would call back them that are condemned to die, so hatred would slay the living. And those that have sinned vehemently, it will not suffer to live. Right? So we start looking at hatred, right? Hatred will slay the living, right? There's a lot of people, you start looking at people getting slain for hatred. Some of these people don't even have no understanding, right? Right? Unlike some people who do. But some people don't have understanding. Right? It says, verse 24 says, for the ruach of hatred works together with Satan. Right? So we start looking at these things. Through hastiness of spirits. Spirits. Like you start reading about Raby'ay, talking about the spirits of error and sleep. Spirits within spirits. In all things to men's death. But the ruach of love works together with the Turah of Yahuwah in long suffering unto salvation of men, because love dwelleth with wisdom, dwelleth with those who are in love with Yahuwah. When you're in love and you have love, you're long suffering. You're not wanting people to die. You're long suffering that none should perish or all should come to repentance. That's your character. But Satan, he ain't like that. Verse 25, the hatred therefore is evil, for it constantly mateth with lying, always having sex together, always mating. Right? As we talked about before, it's speaking against the truth. Why? Because there's no truth in them. Why would you speak against the truth? It says, it maketh small things to be great. Turn one little situation into this great big old thing. Right? It requires all the attention, media attention, right? Like they do. And causes the light to be darkness, turns the light into darkness. And calleth the sweet bitter, and teacheth slander, and kindleth wrath, and stirreth up war. So you see these behaviors start to come in. And the behaviors is what takes one to darkness. Slander, wrath, war. These things take you from, if you're a light in the or in the world, it takes you to darkness. And violence, kamas, and covetousness, and all covetousness. It filleth the heart with evil and devilish poisons. It says, these things therefore I say to you from experience, my children, that ye may drive forth hatred, which is of Satan, and cleave to the love of Yahuwah. Right? That's how you do it. And to cleave to the love of Yahuwah. Love him. Ahaba. It says, righteousness casteth out hatred. Humility destroyeth envy. Envy of your brother, sister, mother, father, doesn't matter. Person who has something that you don't. It destroys envy. Humility does that. And casteth out hatred. Righteousness. Don't forsake righteousness. It'll get rid of that hatred out of you. Right? Verse 28, for he that is just and humble is ashamed to do what is unjust, being reproved not of another, but of his own mind, just like his father Yahuwah, because you're in love. Just like he says, you work together with Yahuwah. You're just like him in the beginning. Every imagination and thought, I'm gonna get rid of these things. I'm sorry that I even created these things in my head, and I'm gonna get rid of them, because Yahuwah looketh on his inclination. Right, the eyes of Yahuwah in every place, beholding the evil and the good. Right. This is how we go. Oriyah, Luke 8:17. For nothing is hidden that will not be made manifest, nor anything secret that will not be known and come to light. Nothing. It's going to come to light. It's going to come up. Yukonah 3:20. For everyone who does wicked things hates the light, hates the or, hates the beginning, hates the creation, hates when light came into the world, and does not come to the light, the or, lest his work should be exposed by light. It's going to be exposed. Okay? The or is going to shine, and darkness has to leave. The deeds that what people do in the dark, what you do in the dark is going to come to light, and I'm going to see everything you do. Marshally Proverbs 10:18. The one who conceals hatred has lying lips. So when we start looking at concealment from kindred and friends, right, we start looking at the spirits of error and sleep. right? Error and sleep, right? So the word for conceal is Kazab, or to cover, conceal, to cover oneself, concealing it, to overwhelm oneself. That's what spirits and demons do. When they get inside your mind, they overwhelm you. They overwhelm your thoughts in your mind and don't allow you to be in stability. They overwhelm you. That's the only way they take over. They spread over, cover, conceal, clad oneself, clothing, right? To cover yourself, to fill up, to plump up, plump, like a plump pillow that you lay on. Amazingly, that comes with the spirit of sleep, right? It's called a plump pillow. You lay on the pillow, you get plump. He said that's a spirit of sleep because you cover yourself in hatred and lying. These are all spirits of sleep. You notice that you use a covering to cover yourself in the bed. You cover yourself in the bed and you lay on a plump pillow. All at the same time in the spirit of sleep. While all these demons and spirits on the inside. These are all, how you say, an entrapment of the spirits of error and sleep. And they can lock you in. People say, he said, what did he say? Today is the day of freedom. Today is the day of salvation. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Or is your mind darkened to the truth? To know the truth is to be free in one's mind. To no longer be bound by clad clothes and covering and pillow plus pillows and being in the spirit of sleep. You put away fornication and insatiableness and chicanery and all these things that harbinger inside of the mind, spirit of error and sleep, and arrogance and pride and haughtiness and all these things that come with it, and lying and deceit. These all dwell on the inside. These are all spirits and demons. Well, the word for hatred is sinna. Sinna. Katsa, sinna. Hating, hatred, hated, hate. Exceedingly hateful. Red. Hate. Hates. Right? So when we start looking at these aspects, we start looking at the way he created it. Right? We start looking at hate. Right? And we start looking at, when you look at the white horse, you look at the red horse, the pale horse, and the black horse. Right? You look at the red horse, you take shalom from the earth. It's hatred everywhere. He said people start killing each other. Right? But this thing about you think about Yahushua Mashiach, he ain't hiding his hatred. It ain't concealed. It ain't gonna be concealed. He ain't gonna have no lying lips. He gonna let you straightforward, let you know. Right? Right? But when we start looking at these aspects, we start looking at the things, right? So we look at sinah, it's hatred, right? The word for lying is shakar, or shakar, right? Look at shakar, you look at it, you know, people look at that, or shakur, look at it as black. But you start looking at shakar, you start looking at it was what? A lie, deception, disappointment, falsehood, deceit, fraud. He said you got lying lips. You cover yourself in hate. You conceal hatred, you got lying lips. Deceit, fraud, false oath, swear falsely, falsify, self-deceiving prophets, Nabi'im. They have hatred and lying in their heart. You're self-deceiving. You're deceiving yourself. Please don't be thinking like, I'm a Nabi and I got hatred and lying. I'm a Nabi, I'm a prophet. Prophet such and such on your profile picture on your Twitter account, on your Instagram account. Or how they announce on their TV shows. But you concealing hatred and lying. You got lying lips. It's a lie and it's an untruth. You're giving out untruths. How? You're giving out untruths. It's not truth. Like, who made the Shamayim in the earth, the 7 Shamayim in the earth? Who formed every thought and every mind? Who's doing the work? Who's forming and shaping everything? Who gets the credit? It says sham here, right? A liar, lying, a lie. Shakir. Right? So, Mashali, Proverbs 17:4, an evildoer listens to wicked lips, and a liar, Shakir, gives ear to a mischievous tongue. So, when you're self-deceived, not being, you got lying and hatred and stuff, just understand you're the worker with Satan, mischievous tongue. The evildoer, you'll listen, wicked lips. He said, man, you are a great employee. Satan like, yeah, man, you are a great employee. I appreciate your service. Right? So the word for evildoer is Ra, right? An evildoer, or bad, evil. This is the same thing. Every imagination and thought is evil continually. You see of a liar. So to be wicked, to be broken pieces, to be broken asunder. Right? To make good for nothing. Wicked doer. When you're broken, I mean you've done evil. Now understand, when you do evil, just understand you broken. Just understand that you are open to a mischievous tongue. You are open to a lying lips. To listen. Right? When you're doing evil. When you ain't doing evil, right? You're like Yahusha. Get behind me, Satan. Right? Right? It says injury. It says hurt. Right? It also means what? It says physically, socially, morally. Right? Associate yourself. It says also to afflict. You associate yourselves. Evildoers associate themselves together. Right? Behave self, deal, ill, mischief, punish. Wicked doer. Be doers of the word, not hearers only. Not a wicked doer of the word. You'll be a self-deceived Nabi or Nabiyah, or a prophet, or a pastor, or a teacher, or evangelist, or an instructor, or a helper, or whatever you want to call yourself. You'll be a wicked doer of the word. Like, you be keeping Shabbat, feast days, Cogs, Mu'ad, helping people, giving to the poor, doing all these things with that wicked heart. What good is it? You're a wicked doer of the word. Right? So the word for listens is Kazab, right? You'll pay attention. A wicked doer or evil doer will pay attention, give attention, to prick up the ears. That is to hearken, to attend. You will hearken to these things. It'll be like a great holiday, right? On the beach, like the people in France say holiday. They go on holidays, right? Man, you be pricking up the ears. You'll hearken to it. He said you're a Kazab. You'll pay attention to evil, right? Wicked. You'll pay attention to wicked. That word for wicked is Avin, right? Of course, they got the Va in there, but we look at the Ben. You look at the Avin or Abin, or if you want to say it without the vowel points, Aun. But when you start looking at it, Avin, we say how they have it. Avin, right? To pant, right? You listen to wicked. You'll pant after or exert oneself to trouble. Wickedness, sorrow, idolatry. You'll start worshiping idols. Trouble or iniquity, wickedness. Trouble, vanity. You listen to wicked lips. Vanity, right? Vanity, wickedness, idols. You listen to idols, idolatry, wicked, to sorrow. Because the fear of Yahuwah is joy, gladness, right? He said you'll start listening to wicked lips, or safa, right? Lips, language, speech, shore, cloth, band, binding, border, brim, edge, language. You start listening to it. Language. That's why it's important to get rid of the spirits of error and deceit and the spirit of hatred and lying. Why? Because it leaves you open to evil, and more evil. People talking about adding sin on sin. That's what he was talking about. It leaves you open. Close the doors of your mind, right? When these things happen, like we talk about casting out every imagination and thought that it exalts itself, like against the knowledge of Yahuwah. That's why Yahuwah is like, you're going to turn the potter into the clay? You're going to exalt yourself above Yahuwah. Cast that stuff down, right? Because if you don't, you'll find yourself making Yahuwah and whatever you want. And that's not even him. It'll turn out to be an idol. And then understand where you're getting your suggestions from. People say, what does he mean? So this word for mischievous is hava. You listen to what? Mischievous tongue, right? It's a hava, or you look at the va, or you look at that, and you say hava or ba, right? And it means what? Desire. Engulfing ruin. That's what it's going to do with your life. You listen to it in mischievous tongue, it's going to bring destruction to your life, calamity, desire, ruin. And not only to your life, but the people you're with. It'll bring ruin to them. That's all Satan wants to do. He gets into one person, And then he'll infect other people. He'll cause ruin and destruction to the home, to the people, to the circle that you have, to the people you around you, and then also to you. That's all the point. That's all he wants to do. He'll cause calamity. For verse speaks, verse things. That's why it talks about other writings how children obey your parents, but it's also they stick to them like a gun. Like you have to stay close. Why? Because Satan can't do anything when you're close. It's when you get apart, that's when he starts doing his thing. When you close, Satan like, I can't touch him. But when you get apart, that's when he like, yeah, he start working his little thing with his tongue. Especially people say, especially you have a little bit of infidelity in your heart, he'll use that thing. Have a little line in your heart, he'll use that thing. Have a little deceit in your heart, he'll use that thing. Have a little hatred in your heart, he'll use it. He'll use it. Infatuation, and a little bit of fornication. Right? A little thought of them old relationships that one used to have. He'll use that stuff. Satan used that junk. He used it. Everything's at his disposal. Right? But it's up to you, the individual, to take control and say, no longer will I be bound. So you start looking at this thing. So the word for tongue is lashon, of course, tongue. You listen to a mischievous tongue, right? A havag tongue, a mischievous tongue, right? A lashon, havag lashon, language, tongue, animals, right? Tongue of animals. We know animals can talk. Shoot, parrots can lie. Shoot, a donkey, zaphone, right, can lie. Depends, right? Animals can talk. Serpent lied to cool. Animals can talk. Other beings can talk. They can give you words. Animals. Right? Wedge, right? You start looking at these things. Babbler, right? A bay, evil speaker, a language, a talker, a tongue, a wedge, right? When you start looking at these things, you start looking at this evil doer, this mischievous tongue, right? It may come into your mind, come into your thoughts, come into your house, right? You gotta look, think about these things. Did you try you? Yeah, go commit adultery. Yeah, go sleep with this man. Yeah, go do this. Go outside, do that. Go do this. Go do that, right? Go do this. Go steal from the store. Go shoot this person. Go over here and do that, right? People use this oppression on us as the government. Satan uses oppression. All the things that go, oppression of the years and past and all the things that's happened, he uses the oppression. That little hatred, all that stuff you got, he used that stuff to sow things not only in your mind, but against your family, get your kids, get your job, against everything. And sow other things in your mind to make you sow things and make you want to do things. Because he know you don't, he said they don't understand the truth like they think they do. I've been here over 6,000 years. Yeah, that's been here a long time. They ain't been here but nothing but 0.4 seconds. Right? Stop playing with them. Marshall 19 and 22 says, what is desired in man is steadfast ahab, love. You got to have it. Steadfast, it's continual. It don't stop. And a poor man is better than a liar. Right? That's why Yahushua said, foxes have holes, birds of the air have nests. The son of man have no lay his head. And guess what he was better than? You are your father the devil. For he was a liar from the beginning. He was better than that liar. He was. Right? Whom do you want us to release? Barabbas. We want Barabbas. A poor man better than a bunch of liars. You don't hear what all they accuse you of? A man without sin. He answered them not a word. A poor man is better than a liar. Yahushua wasn't guilty. But you have people in the world, if you've been accused, man, you guilty. But Yahushua wasn't. Right? So the word for liar is Kazab, right? A lie, untruth. When we start looking at untruth, falsehood, deceptive thing, deceit, falsely, liar, lying, right? Kazab. Mashali, Proverbs 26 and 28 says, a lying shakir tongue hates its victims. It hates them. It works together. And you work together with Satan. You say you hate your victim. You say when you lie to somebody, you hate that person. You tell them the untruth, which means you want them to sin. Huh? Yeah, you want them to sin. Which means that he said, he that causes one of these little ones to believe in me to sin, it'd be better that a millstone be tied around your neck and be drowned in the sea. He said, you hate your victims. He said, you hate your victims. And a flattering mouth worketh ruin. That's all it do. It brings destruction. It brings destruction to your life, to your mind, to your thoughts, to people in your life, to relationship. It brings thoughts to it brings destruction. That's what Satan does. Right? And how you say, casting down imagination and thoughts. So that's what he implants to that. So this Marshally Proverbs 30:6. It says, what? Do not add to his word, lest he rebuke you and you be found a liar. Kazab, you telling the untruth. It says what? In Romans 3, it says, let Yahuwah be true and every man a liar. Because all the words of Yahuwah's mouth is straightforward, equitable, integrity, uprightness, and innocence. There ain't nothing crooked or perverse in it. But in us, you say, let Yahuwah be true and every man a liar. Right? 2 things I ask of you. Deny them not before I die. Remove far from me falsehood and lying lips. Like hypocrite. That's what falsehood is. You're untruth, hypocrite. And a lying and Kazab. Give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me with food that is needful for me. This is needful for every person on the planet. This is needful for all those who open the doors of their mind and close their mind from all thought, carnal will, all carnal thought. It's needful for you, right? Lest I be full and deny you and say, who is Yahuwah? You sitting at your nice little table, your little feast, right? At your nice restaurants, your nice tables and all these things, and you got lying and hate, you got lying and falsehood in your heart. You concealing things from your parents and your mother. You concealing things from your wife or your husband, right? Or your wives or whoever you have, right? You concealing things from people in your life. Why? Because guess what happens? And he said, I'm eating, I'm having a great time. No, you're not. He said, you might as well eat and drink, for tomorrow you die. You concealing that stuff. You can eat and drink, but it's just if you eating and drinking with lying and Kazab and falsehood, that's a different type of feast right there. He said, give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me with food that's needful for me, lest I be full and deny you. Right? And say, because a lot of people eat a lot of knowledge and understanding, but this way they won't eat. I ain't eating this. Then they say, who is Yahuwah, lest I be poor and steal and profane the name of my Elohim. So when we start looking at these things, Yahuwah's word is equitable, upright, integrity. But then you start getting poor and you start stealing and you profane the name of your father and mother. Think about it. You have a son and daughter, right? And they go out and steal, rob a bank, rob a store. Who that mark on? The children? That mark is on the parents. Like, man, look at these kids. Where the parents at? Why they out here stealing at the store? Is the parents providing for them? Is the parents giving them the things they're supposed to get? Or is the parents doing everything they're supposed to do for the children? So that's how Yahuwah looks when we start profaning his name. Right? And if people wonder why their children profane the parents' name today, it's because Yahuwah like, you profane mine. He said, feed me with food that's needful for me. So Sirach 20:24-27 says, a lie is a foul blot in man, yet it's continually in the mouth of the untaught. Tongues, right? Drive out like lying, hatred. Why? Because Satan gonna use it. Spirit of sleep and error, deceit, aggressive greed. A lot of lying comes with aggressive greed because people gonna lie to get that money. Like they say, get that bag. It says, a thief is better than a man that is accustomed to a lie. So, a liar, a thief is better than a liar. But both shall have destruction to the heritage because they both follow in Satan. A thief, remember, Satan comes to steal, kill, and destroy, right? So you got a liar and a thief. So basically, both of y'all are still going to destruction because you listen to a mischievous tongue. And we know that word is avabud, it means destruction. And it says, and the disposition of a liar is dishonorable, right? It is. It's not, it says, and his shame is ever with him. Why? Because you despise wisdom and nurture. We say what? Because one hasn't repented, right? A wise man shall promote himself to honor with his words, and he that hath understanding will please great men, right? So the testament of Simeon or Shamuan, It's Shamaun, right? Shamaun, right? It's H8095. Shamaun, right? Now, right? It's Shamaun means what? To hear. Listen intellectually, right? That's what it says right here. It says, and now my children, pay heed to me. Beware of the ruach of deceit and envy. For envy dominates the whole man's mind and does not permit him to eat or drink or do anything good. Rather, it keeps probing him to destroy the one whom he envies. That's what it does. Whenever the one who is envied flourishes and the envious one languishes. Out of the fear of Yahuwah, I chastened my soul by fasting for 2 years. And I came to know that the liberation from envy occurs through the fear of Yahuwah. Fear. If anyone flees to Yahuwah for refuge, the evil spirit, the evil demon, the demon will quickly depart from him, and he will be eased from the one he has compassion on whom he has envied, and has sympathetic feelings with those who love him. Thus his envy ceases. So when we start looking at envying people, right? Jealousy, evil spirit, that's a demon. These are all spirits. Liberation, we trying to be free. That's what it is. Know that liberation of envy occurs with the fear of Yahuwah. We talking about be free. He says, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Right. So moving forward, it says Mashali 8:13. The fear of Yahuwah is hatred of Ra, of pride, arrogance, and evil and perverted speech. I hate. I have counsel and sound wisdom. I have insight. I have strength. Right. So when we start looking at hatred of Ra, that's how you pride, arrogance, in the evil way, and perverted speech. I hate. That's how you gotta hate. You gotta hate like your father and mother. I hate evil, Ra. I hate pride. I hate arrogance. Pride, arrogance is with the spirit of sleep and error. And the evil, I hate, because Yahuwah destroyed people with that. All this stuff happened in the beginning and before. I am Yahuwah, I change not, right? Tahalim, Psalms 40:4. It says, Asher or Ashar is the man who makes Yahuwah his trust. They that trust in Yahuwah understand the truth. The fear of Yahuwah is joy, gladness, right? A merry heart. It says, makes Yahuwah his trust, who does not turn to the proud, because proud is something that he hates. It all comes with the spirit of sleep and error. And those who do not go astray after a Kazab, a lie. So the word for Asher is happiness, blessed. Blessed are. Blessed, happy, right? You know how people say, I'm blessed, boom, right? They say, I'm blessed, right? Right, if you trust in Yahuwah, then you Barach. Like they say. You can say happiness, but, you know, one of the happy is one of the gods of the Nile River. But when we start looking at being simcha or joyful, you say, man, Asher is the person who puts Yahuwah as his trust. You Barach, right? It's a difference, right? This is Tahalim, Psalm 7:14. Behold, the wicked man conceives evil and is pregnant with mischief. We talk about being pregnant. Remember, they say hatred and lying constantly working to get mated together. A man can get pregnant and gives birth to lies. That's what happens. That's what comes out. Birthed, right? It says he makes a pit, diggeth it out, and falls into the hole that he had made. If the blind lead the blind, both fall into a ditch. You follow untruths. That's what your care is, untruth. You follow an untruth. He said, that's why Yahushua said, a blind lead the blind, both fall into a ditch. They follow untruth. You say, well, how come you don't believe what I say? How can you understand the truth? Oh, because you don't trust Yahuwah. You are your father, Satan. You follow mischievous tongue. In Yuchanan chapter 8. John chapter 8. Guess what it says? His mischief returns upon his own head. And on his own skull, his violence descends. So you fall in the ditch, you're going to hit the ground. Boom, you're going to hit your head. He said, your violence descends, right? You fall after Sheker, untruth. Psalms 101:7. No one who practices deceit shall dwell in my house. It's not going to happen. David said, I'm going to dwell in the house of Yahuwah forever, right? But he said, if you practice deceit, which is of the spirit of error and sleep. He said, you will not be there. It says, no one who utters lies or Kazab shall continue before my eyes. It won't stay there that much longer. Right. Marshall Lee 19:9 says, a false witness will not go unpunished, and he who breathes out lies will perish. Notice on my breath. These are words spoken. Right? They come out, they pregnant. You get pregnant with mischief, mischievous tongue. And then give birth to lies, right? They talk about birth of a nation. Like we were birthed into lies. We breathing out untruths. But these are all the things that have to go today. Marshall Lee 12:19. Truth, it says, truthful lips endure forever, but lying tongue is but for a moment. It ain't gonna last that long. Just like we're about to see right now. Just for a moment. Marshall Lee Proverbs 24. Haughty eyes and a proud heart in the lamp of the wicked are sin. The plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty. The getting of treasures by a lying tongue is fleeting vapor and a snare of death. Why? Because you just got it through a lying tongue, which means you got it through deceit and lying. You working together with Satan. You're a good employee. Right? So you can on 3 and 4. Everyone who makes a practice of sinning also practices lawlessness, for sin is lawlessness. You know that he appeared to take away sins, and in him there is no sin. No one who abides in him keeps on sinning. They don't. No one who keeps on sinning either seen him or known him. Little children, let no one deceive you. Humble yourself like a child. My children, listen to my voice. My children, do not forget the commandment of your father and your mother. It'll be hidden to your umbilical cord. Do not lean to your own understanding. Let no one deceive you. Whoever practices righteousness is righteous. Righteous. And whoever does what's right. And he is as he is righteous, because Mashiach is righteous. Yahuwah is righteous. Whoever makes a practice of sinning is of the devil, Satan. For the devil has been sinning from the beginning. The reason the Son of Yahuwah appeared to destroy the works of the devil. So we're going to look at some of the works of the devil he came to destroy. Again, some more. Because this is what we talked about before. We're always looking for things. Yochanan 10:7. So Yahushua again said to them, truly, truly, I say to you, I am the door of the sheep. All who came before me are thieves and robbers. But the sheep did not listen to them. I am the door. If anyone enters by me, he will be saved. Will go in and out and find pasture. The thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. I have come that you may have life and have it more abundantly. I am the good shepherd. Right. So let's look. This Bereshit 6:11. Now the earth was corrupt in Elohim's sight. Yahuwah Elohim's sight, and the earth was filled with violence. And Elohim saw the earth, and behold, it was corrupt. For all flesh has corrupted their way on the earth. And Elohim said to Noah, I have determined to make an end of all flesh, for the earth is filled with violence through them. So the word for violence is kamas. It means violence, wrong, unjust gain. Liars, bunch of liars. Cruel, damage, false, injustice, oppressive violence, dealing wrong, bunch of liars, spirits of error. Right? Insatiableness in the belly, fornication, political, financial advancement, chicanery. Right? Spirits of sleep. Yirmiyahu 8:8. How can you say we are wise? As we talked about in the beginning. Wisdom, wise, all these things. And the Torah of Yahuwah is with us, but behold, the lying pen of the scribes. You know how many lies that I wrote? Has made it into a lie. The wise men shall be put to shame. They shall be dismayed and taken. Behold, they have rejected the word of Yahuwah. They despise wisdom and nurture. They despised the knowledge. They don't trust in Yahuwah no more. So what wisdom is in them? How you going to have wisdom when you despise the word of Yahuwah, which is the fountain of wisdom? Therefore I give their wives to others. Their wives are foolish. and their fields conquerors, right? They have poverty. He says, because from the least to the greatest, everyone is greedy for unjust gain. You mean aggressive greediness, rapacity, spirits of error and sleep. This is not that hard. It says, from the Nabi to the priest to the Kahan, everyone deals falsely. Kamas. And they have healed the wound of my people lightly, saying, Shalom, Shalom, and there is no Shalom. Were they ashamed when they committed the abominations? No. They were not ashamed. They did not know how to blush. You mean like, you know how they say people on TV, when they do something wrong, they turn red? They had like the little cartoons, they turn red. They had little red cheeks. It was me. Therefore, they shall fall among the fallen. You know who we're talking about. It says, when I punish them, they shall be overthrown, says Yahuwah. Right? He that had lying lips, he said, will not go unpunished. Who practice deceit will not go unpunished. That's just the way it is, right? This is Micah 3:11. It says, its heads give judgment for a bribe. We just talked about that. Aggressive greediness. Right? Its priests teach for a price. Its Nabi'im practice divination for money. Yet they lean on Yahuwah and say, is not Yahuwah in the midst of us? No disaster going to come upon us. You just listen to a mischievous tongue. You're just listening to Satan, a lying tongue, which if it causes ruin, destruction, and disaster. You just listen to another spirit, another demon. That's what people are doing today in 2022 AD. So Yeshayahu 56:11 says the dogs have a mighty appetite. They never have enough. They don't. Insatiableness in the belly. I mean, we just talked about insatiableness in the belly. Unsatisfied. Spirits of error and sleep. But they are shepherds who have no understanding, because they forsook Yahuwah and they don't understand the truth. They don't trust Yahuwah. They don't understand the truth. They not come with him in love of Yahuwah. They don't understand the truth. They have all turned to their own way. Why? There's no more unity. You know how it says turn to your own way? Everybody going their own way. It's only one truth, but everybody turning untruths to do what? Each to his own gain, one and all, just to get money. Just to get some type of gain. Aggressive greedy. So the word for gain is batsa. Plunder, by extension, unjust gain. Kamas. Covetousness, dishonest gain, lucre, profit. Remember, he says, they that despise wisdom and nurture, their works unfruitful and they're unprofitable. Right? And it's all vanity. Right? That's what happens. This is Ezekiel Kazab 22:24. Son of man, say to her, you are a land that is not cleansed or rained upon in the day of indignation. The conspiracy of the prophets, Nabi'im, is in her midst. Is like a roaring lion tearing the prey. They have devoured human lives. They have taken treasures and precious things. Still, thieves. So how do they get these precious things? They have made many widows in their midst. Her priests and Kahan have done violence, or kamas, the same word, unjust gain, violence to my law, and have profaned my Kadush things. They have made no distinction between the Kadush and the common. Neither have they taught the difference between unclean and clean. And they have disregarded my Shabbats, so that I am profaned among them. Her princes in her midst are like wolves tearing the prey, shedding blood, destroying lives to get dishonest gain. Give me your stuff. Stick them up. It's mine. And her prophets have smeared whitewash for them, seeing false visions and divining lies up for them, saying, so they're lying. They're working together. People with aggressive greed, people with a spirit of error and blindness and sleep, now they're lying for them. Just to get money. Just to get things in their pocket. They all working together. Remember, all these demons, spirits work together. They all work together. Divining lies for them. Thus saith Yahuwah, Elohim, when Yahuwah has not said, you know how they do, I got a word, I got a vision, I got things I've seen just to get money. And they work together with these people. They all work together. So the people of the land have practiced extortion and committed robbery. They have oppressed the poor and needy, and have extorted from the sojourner without justice, improper judgment, injustice. This is one of the spirits of sleep and error. And I sought for a man among them who should build up the wall and stand in the breach before me for the land, that I should not destroy it, but I found none. Right? You see all these things? So Bith Malachim, or Kings 12:1, in the 7th year of Yahuash began to reign, and he reigned 40 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Zibiah of Beersheba. And Yahuash, right, not Yahuish, or man of Yah, did what was right in the eyes of Yahuwah all his days, because Yahuyada, the priest, instructed him. Nevertheless, the high places were not taken away, and the people continued to sacrifice and make offerings on the high places. They kept doing it. Then Yahuash said to the priest, the Kahan, all the money of the Kedush things that is brought into the house of Yahuwah, the money for which each man is assessed, the money for the assessment of the persons, and the money that a man's heart prompt him to bring to the house of Yahuwah, let the priest take each from his donor and let them repair the house wherever any need of repairs is discovered. Right? But by the 23rd year of the king Yahuish, right? The priest had made no repairs on the house. 23 years. Money collecting, right? Collect that money. 23 years collecting that money. Amazingly, when you look at 23, look at the Aleph and the 2. You said, I'm the Aleph and the Tav. Guess what? Aleph and the 2, right? When we start looking at these things, right? Therefore, King Yahuash summoned Yahuyada, the priest, and the other priests, and said to them, so he come to reprove them, why are you not repairing the house? Now, therefore, take no more money from your donors, but hand it over for the repairs of the house. He want, give me the money back. You mean aggressive greedy, right? Just a bunch of aggressive, lying, deceit. Let's see what they do. So the priests agreed that they should not take no more money from the people, and that they should not repair the house. They just said, you know what? You can't have the money. We don't want nothing to do with the house either. Excessive greed, spirits of error and sleep. Lying lips. Spirit of hatred and lying. So this is Matthew 12:38. And in his teaching he said, beware of the scribes who love to walk around in long robes and like greetings in the marketplace, and have the best seats in the congregation synagogue and the places of honor, at who devour widows' houses. They steal all their money, take everything. They devour the widows' houses. They ain't got nothing. No husband, right? And for a pretense, make long prayers. Pretending, what do you mean? Why are they doing it? For pretending. They lying. They doing that, making long prayers to do what? They will receive a greater condemnation. The only reason they're pretending and doing all these things, just like those lying Nabi, they were prophesying Naba for what? To get money, unjust gain. They do all these long prayers for the widows. Make nice little long prayers so they can get some money, unjust gain. Lying lips, lying tongue. Aquarium of Yahusha, or Aquarium of the Aquarium of Yahusha, chapter 155, 30 through 44. The scribes replied, my soul gives witness that you speak the truth, for love fulfills the law, the Torah, and far transcends burnt offerings and sacrifices. And Yahusha said to him, you have solved a mystery. You are within the Malkuth, and the Malkuth is within you. To his disciples, Yahusha spoke, and all the people heard. He said, beware of the scribes and the Pharisees, who pride themselves in wearing long and richly decorated robes, and love to be saluted in the marketplace, and seek the highest seat of the feast, and take hard-earned wages of the poor to satisfy their carnal selves, and to pray in public long and loud. We just talked about what these words mean in the spirit of sleep and error and aggressive greediness. To satisfy, it says they take these things to do what? Satisfy their carnal earthly desires. Take people hard-earned wages. We just read in Yirmiyahu, they oppress the poor and the needy. It says these are the wolves who clothe themselves to look like sheep. These people are. They are the wolves in sheep's clothing, who take people hard-earned wages and pray long prayers in the street corners. It says, and when he said to all the scribes and the Pharisees are placed by the law of Mashah seat by the Turah, they may interpret the law. By the law, they may interpret law. So what they bid you do that. Well, what they bid you do, but do not imitate their deeds. They say things that Moses or Mashah taught. They do things that of demons or Beelzebub. That's what demons do. The spirit of error and sleep. The spirit of deceit, fornication, insatiableness in the belly, chicanery, right? Financial and gain, right? Lying tongue. He said they do things of demons. They talk of mercy, yet they bind on human shoulders burdens gracious to bear. They talk of helpfulness, and yet they put not forth the slightest helpful effort for their brother man. They make a show of doing things, and yet they do not anything but show their gaudy robes and broad phalanges, and smile when people call them honored masters of the Torah. They strut about and show their pride when men call them father, so and so. Hear now, you men, call no man father here. The Elohim, Yahuwah Elohim of Shamayim and earth, and he alone is father of the race of men. Mashiach is the Hierarch, the high exalted master of the sons of men. If you would be exalted, sit down at the master's feet and serve. And serve. He is the greatest man who serves the best. So Yeshayahu 58:1 says, cry aloud and do not hold back. That's why when Yahushua was on the cross, the stake, he cried out. What was he not crying out? What was he not holding back for? Because he had to do something. Lift up your voice like a Turah and declare my people their transgressions and the house of Yaakov their sins. Yet they seek me daily and delight to know my ways. It says, these are more noble in Thessalonica. They search the scriptures daily. They seek me daily. Seek ye out the book you and read. They seek me daily. And delight to know my ways, as if they were a nation that did righteousness and did not forsake the judgment of their all Elohim Yahuwah. They ask of me righteous judgments. They delight to draw near to Yahuwah. Why have we fasted, and you see it not? Why have we humbled ourselves, and you do not take knowledge of it? Behold, in the day of your fast, you seek your own pleasure and oppress all your workers. Behold, you fast only to quarrel and fight. Isn't that one of the spirit of error and sleep? You can still remember the spirit of deceit calls you not to eat food until you destroy those you envy, right? You see all these demons working? The spirit of fighting is one of the spirits of error and sleep. And he says, and to hit with the wicked fist. Fasting like yours this day will not make your voice be heard on high. In such a fast that I chose, a day for a person to humble himself, is it to bow his head like a reed and spread his sackcloth and ashes under him? Will you call this a fast, a day acceptable to Yahuwah? Is it not this fast that I chose, to loose the bonds of wickedness, to undo the straps of the yoke, to let the oppressed go free, and to break every yoke? Is it not to share your bread with the hungry, and to bring the homeless, the poor, into your house? Not to oppress the poor, right? And when you see the naked, to cover him, and not to hide yourself from your own flesh? Then shall your light break forth like the dawn, like the sun, like the dawn, and your healing shall spring up speedily. Your righteousness shall go before you, and the kabod of Yahuwah shall be your rear guard, shall get your back. And then you shall call on Yahuwah, and he will answer. You shall cry, and he will say, Here I am. If you take away the yoke of from your midst, and the pointing of the finger, and speaking wickedness, lying lips, untruths, shakar, kazab. If you pour yourself out to the hungry, and to satisfy the desire of the afflicted, then your light will rise in the darkness, and your gloom as the noonday. And Yahuwah will guide you continually. Right? So you look at when he says your light shall arise in the darkness, and your gloom as a noonday. When he said, I'm going to cause the sun to go down at noon. He said, I'm going to cause the sun to go down at noon. Right? And it says, and Yahuwah will guide you continually, and satisfy your desire in scorched places, and make the bones strong, and you shall be like a watered garden. You shall be like the garden, like it was in the beginning. Like a spring of water, whose waters do not fail. And your ancient ruins shall be rebuilt. Oh, you mean repaired, or how you say brought back up. The ancient ruins. What was ruined? What was more ancient than the garden that was ruined, that happened to Adam? It says, you shall, and guess what it says? You shall raise up the foundations of many generations, and you shall be called the repairer of the breach. He looked for a man to repair the breach, and he ain't find one. But then he told Yahushua to cry aloud, spare not, lift your voice like a Turah. He said, when Yahushua was on the stake fasting, he said he looked for someone to find pity. And he said, I saw none in Psalm 69. I sought for someone to find pity on me, and I found none. But he said, I'm going to repair the breach. He said, the restorer of the streets to dwell in. I'm going to restore it back. I'm going to repair that breach. All that unjust gain that those not self-deceived Nabi'e was using to get money and all these things that they were doing. He said, I'm looking for someone to stand in the breach, in the midst of this breach that was in the people, in the midst of all of that. Because remember, he was manifested to destroy the works of Satan. He was manifested to destroy all these things. He had to cause the sun to go down at noon to do it, and darken it in clear day. And his light had to spring up like the noonday. That's why I went down at noon. Right. This is your Ukanon 19:1. And he entered in Jericho and was passing through. And behold, there was a man named Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector, and was rich. And he was seeking to see Yahushua, who Yahushua was. But on the account of the crowd, he could not, because he was small in stature. So he ran on ahead and climbed up into the sycamore tree to see him, for he was about to pass that way. And when Yahushua came to the place, he looked up and said to Zacchaeus, hurry and come down, for I must stay in your house. Right. Remember, he was manifested to destroy the works of Satan. All that unjust gain, all the lying, all the spirits of sleep. He came to destroy the works of Satan. So he hurried and came down and received them joyfully. And when they saw it, they all grumbled. It says, he has gone into the guest of a man who is a sinner. And Zacchaeus stood and said to Aydah, Master, behold, Aydah, I half my goods I give to the poor. Is this a fast that I chose? One should open his door for the poor. Yahushua said, Father, hold, bears of air her nest, I have nowhere to lay my head. He said, man, bring the poor in your house. He said, I give to the poor, to clothe the naked and the needy. He says, if I have defrauded anyone of anything, I restore it fourfold. Unjust gain. Unjust gain. He said, I'll restore it fourfold. Unjust gain. Yahushua came to destroy the works of Satan. Lying lips. Getting riches by lying lips. And Yahushua said to him, today salvation has come to this house. He came to take it out. Why do you think he caused the sun to go down at noon? Why do you think he caused all these things to happen? He said the sun is going to rise. It's going to be like the noonday. He said, cry out, spare not, lift your voice like a Turah. That's why he cried out, right? Twice. He said, since he also is the son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost. You lost. People say one's lost if they're doing these things. He said, you lost. He said, I came to seek you out. I came to find you. He came to find you. Right? So when we start looking at Yahushua Mashiach, we look at the spirit of error, the spirit of sleep, right? We look at deceit, fornication, insatiableness in the belly, devouring widows' homes, right? We look at fighting, the spirit of fighting and strife, right? He said, man, you fast to fight and throw the fist. He's like, all these things that people were doing, Yahushua came to destroy. That's why he was fasting on the stake, on the cross. He said, this is the fast that I chose? That's why he was doing all these things. He came to destroy the works of Satan, this liar, all his works. Right? We're going to look at more works, but we start looking at his works. He came to destroy it. Right? He said, today is the day of salvation. Today, salvation has come to your house. Right? To remove these things. Right? So when we start looking at these things, we look at, the way it is. So this pseudo-philo, the Old Testament, chapter 34. It says, in that time there arose a certain Aydah, from the sanctuaries of Midian, and this man was a magician. And he said to Yasharal, why do you pay attention to the Torah? Right? So you got a magician rising up saying, why are you paying attention to it? Right? He said, come and I will show you something that the Torah and the people, I'll show you something other than the Torah. And the people said, what will you show us that our Torah does not have? And he said to the people, have you ever seen the sun by night? Have you ever seen the sun by night? And they said, no. Know that the gods have power to do and do not deceive those who serve them. And they said, show it. So you got the people entertaining. It's like you just in the gun, right? Just like in the gun with cool. You got a magician rising up saying, I'm gonna show you something that's not in the Torah. I'm gonna show you something. You ever seen the sun by night? Right? And he says, and he went away and worked his magic tricks and gave orders to the Malachim who were in charge of magicians. Right, so you got Malachim who are in charge of magicians, for he had been sacrificing to them for a long time. Because in that time before they were commenced, magic was revealed by Malachim, and they would have destroyed the age without measure. And because they had transgressed it, happened that the Malachim did not have the power, and when they were judged, then the power was not given over to others. And they do these things by means of those men, the magicians who minister to men, until the age without measure comes. It says, and then by the art of magic he showed the people the sun by night. Right, so when we start looking at Yahushua on the stake, he said he was manifest to destroy the works of Satan, or magicians, or sorcerers, right? Or sorcerers. It said, behold, he gonna cause the sun to go down at noon. And he caused it to go down at the noontime, at noontime. And his son, he said, the light shined. And he said, your light shine, as Yeshayahu 58 said, as a noonday. Just like the sun rises at its highest point, Yahushua Mashiach, when the sun went down at noon and it was darkness over the land from the 6th to the 9th hour, he was high and lifted up above the people. He was above them, and the sun shined as a noonday. He said, you ever seen the sun by night? You ever seen the sun by night? That's what this magician just said, and we can clearly see the sun by night, Yahushua Mashiach. But what does that make one do? It makes you not go after this magician. Because Yahushua came to destroy the works of Satan and magicians. And the people were amazed and said, it says, and behold, how much the gods of the Midianites can do. See, now they got you going after other gods. But you see how Yahushua came and called the son of God at noon, and he allowed him to be high and lifted up. He said, I'm going to draw all men to me, not to this magician. But guess what they said? The gods of the Midianites can do. And we did not know it. Now they're like, man, we got some wisdom. We got some new knowledge. We didn't know that the Midianites, gods can do all these things. Now they done forsaken Yahuwah. Now they don't understand the truth no more. And now they're going after other gods. And Yahuwah wished to test if Yasharal would remain, He wanted to test if Yasharal would remain in its wicked deeds. He wanted to see. And he let them be. He let you go. And their works was successful. And they continued in it. And the people were delivered and began to serve gods of the Midianites because they have been delivered by them. They felt like they have. But guess what happens when you go after other gods and other beings and other people and magicians and sorcerers, people who ascend up into stadiums and into spheres, or people who declare themselves to be something they're not. And show the thing, because they're showing you something. I'm going to show you something that's not in the Torah. Because it doesn't have it. But now you see why Yahusha, this wisdom, this kukuma understanding, when the sun went on at noon on the stake, he was showing you that the sun by night, or the S-O-N, the sun by night. And guess what happens? And he delivered them into the hands of the Midianites. He delivered them into their hands, and the Midianites began to reduce Yasharal to slavery. You're a slave. He began to reduce you to slavery because you worship other gods. And Yahushua was manifested to destroy this work of Satan, of a magician, of a sorcerer, of a wizard. He was manifested to destroy these things. Why? To take your eyes off of these things. That's what he was manifested to do. Just like he was manifested to destroy the spirit of error and sleep, and blindness of eyes, and deceit, and hatred and learning, he was also manifested to destroy the works of this magician, this sorcerer. There ain't no magician or sorcerer going to deceive the elect. We won't go after other gods. We see that your son of righteousness is not here. Right? Amos 8:9 says, on that day declares Yahuwah Elohim, I will make the sun go down at noon. The S-U-N. I'll make the sun go down at noon and darken the earth in a broad day. Which means it's going to be darkness. It's going to be darkness over the whole land. That's why he made the sun go down from the 6th to the 9th hour. And about the 6th and 9th hour, that's when he made it go down. And that's why he darkened it in a clear day. But guess what? Was still above the people. The sun was made on the 4th day of creation. And that sun went down at noon. But there still was a sun lifted up above the people. There still was a sun that was still above in darkness. The sun was in darkness, just like that magician tried to deceive Yasharal with, get them to go after other gods. And it worked. But this time, Yahusha came to destroy it. Bereshit 1:1. In the beginning, Elohim created the Shamayim and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was over the face of the deep. And the Ruach of Elohim was hovering over the face of the waters. Muach Marakav al Marakav. And Elohim said, let there be or, light. The sun is risen in darkness. The sun, the word that the bar is shining, is in darkness. And Elohim said, let there be or higher, and Elohim saw that the light was good, and Elohim separated the light from the darkness. He separated those following the wizard and those following the Mashiach, the light, the or in the beginning. The gods and goddesses, the judges of the world, receive the light, gave you power. And Elohim called the or Yom, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening and there was morning, the first Akkad Yom. I have this against you. You forsaken the love you had at the first. You like worshiping the gods of the Midianites and the magicians and the sorcerers and the priests and the people full of unjust gain and the Nabi'im and all the things. You love the spirits of error, demons of error and sleep and saturateness and fornication and adultery and all these things that Yahushua came to destroy. And you love these things more than him. But those who cleave to Yahuwah and his son Yahushua, something happened. Right, so when we start looking at the beginning beginning of the creation of the house of the gods, we start looking at these aspects as the sun shining in darkness, or the sun in darkness, the S-O-N. Even as Yahushua was on the stake in Matthew 27, book of Mark chapter 17 or 16, Yochanan chapter 19, and you start looking at Luke or chapter 23, we start looking at Yahushua Mashiach, the culmination of these things. Even as there's darkness over the face of the deep, even as it was 3 days of darkness in Mizraim, you start looking at these aspects. You start looking at the darkness that was in the beginning. You start looking at the ore that shined. The sun shined in darkness. This is Malachi 4:1. It says, "Behold, the day is coming that burns like an oven, when all the arrogant and the evildoers will be stubble." You know, arrogant and evildoers are those who what? Have the spirit of sleep. That's one of the spirits of arrogance and evildoing, haughtiness. That's one of the spirits of this. That's one of the spirits of error, and that's deceit. Spirits of fighting in the liver. People have fighting problems. They love to fight and disagreeable, want to fight and argue and have strife all the time on YouTube and Facebook and all these things. Built their whole ministry on fighting and liver, and their liver all messed up because they got demons in it. He said, "The day is coming, shall set them ablaze," says Yahuwah of hosts, "so that it will leave them neither root nor branch." You're going to burn it all up. "But for you who fear my name," the fear of Yahuwah is the beginning, Rashid. Those who fear his name is the Rashid. We just talked about the sun shined in darkness. The sun was in darkness. It's those who fear my name, the sun of righteousness. Those that forsake Yahuwah will not understand the truth. But those who fear Yahuwah will have the beginning of wisdom, and they have understand the truth. And guess what happens? They do not forsake the righteous, and do not forsake Yahuwah. They fear Yahuwah. It is the beginning of wisdom and Kukma. And guess what? The fear of Yahuwah, but for you who fear my name, the sun of righteousness shall rise with healing in its wings. Healing in its wings. He said, you will rise with healing in its wings. The sun will rise with healing in its wings. He was manifested to destroy the works of Satan. He was manifested to destroy all the idols, to break in pieces all the idols, to take your eyes off of things. Right? He said, the sun of righteousness will rise with healing in its wings. Aleph Shamuel 1:22-8, 22 and 8. Right? 22 and 8. It says, then the earth reeled and rocked. The foundations of the heavens trembled and quaked because he was angry. Smoke went up from his nostrils, and a devouring fire from his mouth. Glowing coals flamed forth from him. Is not his word like fire? When Yahushua cried out on the state, he said the earthquake and the temple was rent in two. It says, and he bowed the heavens and came down. What happened? The sun went down at noon. The heavens bowed, and they came down at noon. And Shemesh Kukabim in the yard, it said thick darkness was under his feet. Guess what happened? He rode on a cherub and flew. He flew. Ruach Marakav al. Every knee gonna bow, every tongue gonna confess. He flew, and he was seen on the wings of the wind. He was seen on the wings of the wind. The sun was seen on the wings of the wind, even as he was riding on the wings of the wind, when he caused the sun to go down at noon, and thick darkness was over the land. And the sun was riding. He was seen riding on the wings of the wind, even as it was in Bereshit. The Ruach moved upon the face of the waters. Darkness. It moved upon darkness, thick darkness. It was under his feet. And he was seen riding on the wings of the wind in Bereshit. Shemuth Exodus 19:4. Yahuwah called to him out of the mountain, saying, Thus you shall say to the house of Yaakov, tell the people of Yasharal, you yourselves have seen, you've seen it. Can you see? Can you see yet? You have seen what I did to the Egyptians, Mizraim, the sons of Cush. These magicians and sorcerers. You seen what I did? I tore that junk down. What did he do? And he said, and how I bore you on eagle's wings. He was seen riding on the wings of the wind. Those who fear my name, the Son of Righteousness arise with healing in his wings. He was seen riding on the wings of the wind. He said, I'm going to cause the sun to go down noon. He said, man, you ever seen the sun shine at night? In the night? I have. Have you? Can you see? Can you see? It says, you shall be my treasured possession. Guess what it says? You see how I bore you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself? Now therefore, I bore you on eagle's wings. Yahuwah said, I did. Not no idol. Not no Midianite gods. Not no people with unjust gain and lying nabi and self-deceived prophets and people full of spirit of error and sleep. They didn't do nothing. They healed my people lightly. Yahuwah, or your Mashiach, Yahusha, he bore you on eagle's wings and brought you to himself. Now therefore, if you will indeed obey my voice, what good is your animal sacrifices? I never delighted in that. You're giving offerings to other spirits and demons. There are other spirits that delight in those things. And keep my berith, my covenant, ye shall be my treasured possession among all peoples, just like Nuach was. He preserved them during that time. They were killing his creation. Every imagination and thought was evil continually. They were destroying the animals, the creation. They were eating flesh. They were eating blood, offered animals and demons and devils. He said, man, they were sacrificing their children to demons. He said, man, for all the earth is mine, and ye shall be to me a kingdom of Nabi, of Kahan, priests, and a Kadush nation. These are the words that you shall speak to the people of Yasharal. Hear and obey, right? You see how I did it? He said, I bore you on eagle's wings. Yahuwah brought you on eagle's wings. Not this. Not the beheading, or how they say, the Son of Righteousness arise with healing his wings. Not this. This didn't bring you out of Mizraim. This is a symbolization of something that can be burned. Or he say, bore incense to. Things that can. Yahusha came to destroy it. He came in the image of this to get your eyes off the sun disk with wings. That's what he came to do. Can you see? Before this was even created by man, the Son of Righteousness arose with healing in his wings and Bereshit in darkness. And it was under his feet, thick darkness under his feet, and he Ruach Marakav, and the Ruach moved upon the face of the waters. You ever seen the sun? Like the magician tried to deceive people with, to worship the gods, the demons? That's all it is, the demons. That's the same thing that make this image. Demons. Why? Because they want you to worship these things instead of worshiping the word, and understanding who the word is, and understanding who Yahuwah is, and understanding that the word Ruach Marakaf al Panim, and understanding the beginning is when the sun arose to heal the world of darkness. And it said, let there be light. He said, those who have wicked deeds hate the light. He said, cast the log, the idol out your eye, and you see clearly, and you see get the speck out of your brother's eye. Right? Because Yahushua Mashiach, he said, before Abraham was, I am. Before Methuselah was, I am. Before Nuach, he was. He was before. He said, I was before the earth was even formed. Before even the grain of sand was even formed. Before all that things even came to fruition. Before even man had even a thought to even make this. Yahushua said, I was there. The sun was shining in darkness, and I was riding on the wings of the wind. On eagle's wings. The sun was riding. The sun, not the S-U-N, the S-O-N, the Ben, was riding on the wings of the wind. Because this sun that they made wings to was made on the fourth day of creation, not the first day. So this is the Nazarene Acts of the Apostles, chapter, or the Shalakim, chapter chapter 21. It says, demons incite in idolatry. There is another error of the demons, which they suggest to the senses of men, that they should think that those things that they suffer from such as are called Allahim, in order that thereby offering Zabaim and gifts as if to propitiate them, they may strengthen the worship of false religions and avoid us who are interested in their salvation, that they may be freed from their error, because the spirit of error and sleep. But this they do as I have said, not knowing that these things are suggested to them by demons, for fear they should be saved. It is therefore in the power of everyone, since man had been possessed of free will, whether he will hear us to life or the demons to destruction. Man has a choice. Also, to some of the demons appearing visibly under various figures, sometimes throw out threats. That's what Satan did to Eve. He said what? He said, "This, you see how this burnt bread is? This is how you're going to be your body." And he said, "Whatever you have, I'm ready, I'm prepared to deal with it." Guess what it says? Sometimes promise relief from suffering, that they may instill into those whom they deceive the opinion of their being Allahim, them being Allahim, and that it may be not known that they are demons. So they come in the form to say, hey, we're going to relieve you from suffering. We're going to relieve you from these things. They try to make it seem like they being Allahim, like they Yahuwah. But guess what? But they are demons. To do these things in the present world, they do this now. Guess what? How it is allowed them to transform themselves into what figure they please, and to suggest evil thoughts, and to convey themselves by means of meats and drinks consecrated to them into the minds or bodies of those who partake of it, and to concoct vain dreams to further worship of some idol. The Egyptian son of righteousness, the Egyptian sun god, or the sun with eagle's wings. But Yahushua came to destroy that. That's why he came in the form of it. But not in that form, but he was trying to get their eyes off of that and back to the word, Yahushua Mashiach. He came to destroy the works of demons and Satan. No longer is one bound by Mizraim, Cush, channel spirits, magicians, because that's what it all comes from. Magicians who channel demons, who only do it to deceive the hearts of men, the hearts of women, the hearts of children. But Yahushua came to restore man back. So this is the testament of Zabulon, H2074. It says, "You also, my children, have compassion toward every person with mercy, in order that Yahuwah may be compassionate and merciful to you. In the last days, Yahuwah will send compassion on the earth, and whenever he finds compassionate mercy, in that person he will dwell." Right. So when we start looking at ourselves, and we start looking at the transfer from demonic behaviors to Yahuwah's behaviors, we understand there's freedom and liberty and liberation from demonic forces. It says, to the extent that a man has compassion on his neighbor, to that extent Yahuwah has mercy on him. One has a choice to either hear for the salvation or to follow the spirits. Right? Demons. It says, whomever you see, do not harbor resentment, my children. Love on another, and do not calculate the wrong done by each other, each his brother or sister. Right? This shatters unity and scatters all kinship and stirs up the soul. It stirs up the spirits and the demons. He who recalls evil receives neither compassion nor mercy. Right? So when you look at Yahushua coming on the scene, he says, what happened? He looked for pity, and there was none to show him pity. They gave me poison for my food. They gave me hatred for my love. And guess what he says? He was recalling all their evil deeds, and they gave him no compassion, no mercy. But Yahuwah's like, you believe in my son Yahusha? Right? He said, man, you gotta have some compassion or mercy. Because I forgave you, and you ought to forgive as I've forgiven you, because you believe in my son Yahusha, so I've forgiven you. But when he came on the scene, he was, how you saying, recalling all the evil that men have done. He said, you hate me because I tell the truth. Because their deeds were evil. You can unchild that. He said, you're your father Satan. He was recalling all the evil deeds. You take tithes and Anderson communion, you awaited the weightier matters of the law, the Torah, judgment, mercy, and peace. Huh? Mercy? He said, you omitted that. You get false judgment. You get bribed as the spirits of error and sleep, as Raby'ay talked about. What? These are all things that work together with Satan. And when Yahusha came on the scene, they had no compassion on him and no mercy. They took Barabbas, they beat him in the head with a reed, they put a crown of thorns on his head, they plucked out his beard, they even gave him sour wine and poison for his food, let him hang against the sun. And then the sun went on at noon, and you saw the sun in darkness to destroy the works of Mizraim, to destroy the idols, even the idols that people worship today. So this is Colossians 3 and 5. Put to death, therefore, what is earthly in you, sexual morality. That's the spirit of error and sleep, fornication. Insatiableness in the belly, you can't have enough. Sexual appetites. Impurity, right? Passion, evil desire. Every imagination and thought is evil continually. Covetousness. These are all spirits of deceit. All work with spirits of error and darkness in the mind. Darkening your mind and your understanding. That's what it's going to do. Which is idolatry. Yahushua was manifested to destroy these idols. On account of these, the wrath of Yahuwah is coming. Every imagination and thought is evil continually. He said the day is coming, it's going to burn like an oven, like Malachi even told you. But he said, those who fear my name, the Son of Righteousness will rise with healing in this way. You won't worship no idol, you won't follow no magician, and you'll know that the sun can shine in darkness. But then you'll see it as the sun who was on the first day of creation, not the fourth day. It says, in these you once walked when you were living in them, but now you must put them all away. Anger, going to drive you to anger and deceit. It will darken the mind and fill your mind with deceit and take over your whole mind. Wrath, right? Wherever the fear of Yahuwah is, wrath will depart. Malice, these are all spirits of deceit. Slander, these are all working together with Satan. Obscene talk from your mouth, these are all conjure up spirits. Do not lie one to another. That is the spirit of lying. Works together with hatred and lying. Works together with Satan. Seeing that you have put off the old self, which is of the devil, right, with his practices, which is of the devil. The old self is of Satan, of Mastama, of Asbaal, of Azazel, of Shemjaza, of other beings, and have put on a new self, which is being renewed in the knowledge after the image of its creator. Here there is no Greek, Yehudi, circumcised or uncircumcised, Barbarian, Scythian, slave or free, but Mashiach is all in all. It's only one, just like it was in the beginning, before a circumcision, uncircumcised, a Yehudi, a Greek, a Scythian, before a slave even came to be. There was only Yahushua Mashiach in the beginning. There was only one. And when you go back to the beginning, everything is under his feet, under the feet of the word. Put on then as Yahuwah's chosen ones, Kadush and beloved and compassionate hearts. And wherever he sees compassion, he's going to dwell inside. Kindness, these are all works of Yahuwah. Humility, right? This drives out envy. Meekness, right? Patience, bearing with one another if anyone has a complaint against another. Why? Because if you have a complaint, forgiving each other as Yahuwah has forgiven you, so you also must forgive. Now you have put on the image and likeness of Yahuwah. You have a complaint, you need to forgive. Walk in forgiveness. To forgive it and walk in it is life eternal. And above all these, put on love, because that's where the wisdom and Kukma dwells. He said, those who follow wisdom with love, he said, you become the friend of Yahuwah, which binds everything together in perfect harmony. And let the shalom and peace of Mashiach rule in your hearts, to which indeed you were called into one body, and be thankful, and let the word of Mashiach dwell in you richly, teaching and admonishing one another in all wisdom, singing psalms and hymns and spiritual songs with thankfulness in your hearts to Yahuwah. And whatever you do, in word or deed, do everything in the name of the Adon Yahusha, giving thanks to Yahuwah, the Ab, through him. This ODE Shaloma 7:18 through 28. The Most High shall be known in his Kodashim to announce those that have songs to the coming of Yahuwah, that they may go forth to meet him and may sing to him with joy and with the harp and many tongues. The seers, the seers shall come before him, and they shall be seen before him, and they shall praise Yahuwah for his love, because he is near and holy. And hatred shall be taken from the earth. Right. You work together with Satan, that thing gonna be gone. And along with jealousy, it shall be drowned. Envy, all work together with the spirits of error and sleep and hatred. For ignorance have been destroyed. It's destroyed because the knowledge of Yahuwah has arrived. They who make songs shall sing of the Khan of Yahuwah, the Most High. And they shall bring their songs, and their hearts shall be like the day, and like the excellent beauty of Yahuwah, their pleasant song. And there shall neither be anything that breathes without knowledge, nor any that is dumb. For he hath given his mouth to his creation, to open the voice of the mouth towards him, to praise him. Confess ye his power, and show forth his Khan. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Show forth his grace.